They thought Biggie's story ended in '97. But when they cracked open that locked garage in Brooklyn, what they found inside could rewrite hip-hop history and expose secrets no one was ever meant to hear. They said it was just a rumor, a sealed garage, untouched since Biggie's murder. But insiders now claim something was hidden inside. And it wasn't just old memorabilia. For over 2 decades, whispers swirled around an unmarked structure on St. James Place. Unreleased tracks, handwritten notebooks, a car no one had seen in years. It all sounded like fanfiction until July 1998. When Biggie's estate quietly made a move that changed everything. Alfred Pagan, an executive attorney for the Wallace estate, allegedly got a discreet court order. His mission: inventory a lesser-known property tied to Biggie, a detached garage nestled between Brooklyn. The world didn't know it, but the vault was about to be opened. With Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, 2 locksmiths, a Bad Boy Records rep, and heavy security in tow, the team rolled up the door. Some say Voletta stepped in first, rosary in hand, and asked for a moment alone. A quiet goodbye. A mother's last touch on her son's hidden legacy. But what came next froze the entire room. A crate. On top, a notebook. In Biggie's unmistakable handwriting, Studio List Album 3. This wasn't leftover merch. This was the future Biggie never got to release. What followed was a systematic inventory operation. Everything was photographed, boxed, and locked away again, this time in a climate-controlled vault in Manhattan. Items with lyrics or music were duplicated. Anything mechanical stayed for inspection. One deep blue car, covered in canvas, waited quietly in the back. But it was the crates that sparked the real storm. 31 in total. 20 labeled sessions. 3 marked video. 4 labeled taxes. And 4 crates with no label at all. Those 4 crates. They were double-sealed, reinforced with tape, and locked with the same brand padlocks Biggie used at his Clinton Hill studio. When workers finally opened one, the air shifted. Inside, 2-inch Ampex reels, original master tapes, dates, January and February 1997, just weeks before his death. Stamped titles included My Downfall, Alt Vox Player, Hater, Choir Take, and simply, Secret Beat Stevie J. That's when Voletta allegedly asked, "Can these be played?" The engineer hesitated. One wrong move could erase history. The reels needed heat treatment, single-run transfers, and a surgical rewind process. They were time bombs of sound, and they were Biggie's final words. Meanwhile, a mechanic peeled back the tarp on the car. A Lexus, G's, Trezentas, the same one Biggie flexed in Hypnotize. Not a rental. Registered to Biggie in December 1996. Mint condition. Like it had been waiting. But that was just the surface. The tapes. They were alive. The estate reportedly took the reels to Cutting Room Studios in Manhattan, where Tony Dorsey, the same engineer who mastered Ready to Die, supervised the transfer. Under armed guard. 5 crates arrived. 97 tapes. 43 were alternate takes from Life After Death. 13 were audition beats Biggie never used, and 9, completely unknown. One tape, titled Brooklyn Undefeated, had the room shaking. A 1970s soul loop, horns, Biggie's voice raw and unfiltered. He was experimenting, flowing in double-time triplets. It was bold, brilliant, untouchable. Another, Hold Your Head PT, to gospel choir with a Marley Marl drum break. In the middle of recording, Biggie laughed, "Nah, bring that snare up, Stevie. I'm drowning." Behind-the-scenes banter captured the man in real time, and it hit hard, especially verses referencing fatherhood, likely inspired by the birth of his son, CJ, just a year before he died. But with unreleased material comes legal red tape. Bad Boy's legal team jumped in fast. Clearances were a nightmare. Samples from Isaac Hayes, the SOS Band, even the Duff. Some insiders feared these tracks might never legally see daylight, and just when the buzz hit a fever pitch, a leak happened. Forums lit up with conspiracy theories. Some even claimed the tapes could prove Biggie was an informant. Outlandish, maybe, but the story wasn't dying down. To cool the chaos, Bad Boy released a 30-second instrumental from Brooklyn, Undefeated. No vocals, just the beat, but it went viral in hours. Fans remixed it, sampled it, obsessed over it. Then came a second surprise. From the final crate, a composition notebook surfaced. Inside, I wanted to leave something behind. Music nobody could flip. Money for my kids. Hope for the block. That line hit different. These weren't scraps. They were legacy, intentional, protected, buried. But the story was far from over, because in that Lexus tucked away in a place no one expected, Biggie had hidden something else. Something that could forever link his music to a secret mission of hope. Was it a fully fleshed out vision, or just a fleeting thought? Either way, Voletta Wallace saw it as confirmation that the Foundation's path wasn't just in Biggie's name, it was in his heart. And so, they moved slow. No flashy press runs, no surprise albums. Just preservation, every tape restored, every lyric logged, every crate handled like scripture. The goal wasn't to cash in, it was to protect something sacred. One modest plan emerged, a single instrumental, a raw loop, digitally released. Not to chart, not to trend, but to test the waters. Would fans honor it, or demand more? Whatever proceeds came, they'd fund the very youth programs Biggie once imagined. And quietly, in Brooklyn, those dreams took shape. Workshops, school drives, studio field trips. By the mid-2000s, dozens of scholarships had already been awarded. Students wrote essays about hope, interned at real studios. Some even landed their first music gigs, funded by a vision scribbled in a garage notebook. But the past has a habit of breaking through. In the summer of '99, the dam cracked. A track, raw, unreleased, and completely unexpected, leaked online. It wasn't a remix, it wasn't an alternate take. This was something new, unfiltered, unfinished, undeniably Biggie. The internet exploded. Forums lit up. Some claimed it was a ghost collab with Tupac. Others swore it was AI decades ahead of its time. But those close to the estate knew the truth. It was real, and it wasn't supposed to be out there. The source, not a hacker, not a spy, a junior engineer, wanting to impress a friend, had copied a sample. One slip, that's all it took. The fallout was fast. The engineer was dismissed. Studios were locked down. Every reel, every file watermarked, encrypted, and secured in vaults deeper than Fort Knox. And yet, the chaos sparked something no one expected: unity for the first time since the '90s. Reps from Biggie's and Tupac's camps issued a joint statement denying the collab rumors and vowing to protect their legacies together. In a genre often split by beef and betrayal, that moment stood out like a peace sign in a storm. But the leak raised a deeper question: should the world hear what's in that vault? The Wallace estate stayed firm. Music alone wasn't enough. If it didn't uplift, educate, or protect his legacy, it would stay sealed. So the digitization continued, carefully, silently, tape by tape. Each session had 2 engineers. Every reel was timestamped, watermarked, and encrypted. And when it came time to store the originals, they vanished into a facility so secure, no one knew its name. Some whispered Iron Mountain. Others said government-grade archives. Whatever the truth, the reels were treated like nuclear codes, temperature-controlled, low light, minimal touch. Biggie's legacy wasn't just being preserved, it was being protected. Like history. But this wasn't about locking him away forever. Around the early 2000s, the estate began talking to university archivists. Quietly, carefully, one name surfaced: Cornell University's hip-hop collection. Nothing official was announced, but insiders say scholarly access was on the table for those writing theses, documentaries, or studying hip-hop as a global force. In some rare cases, scholars got snippets, a few bars here, a studio chuckle. They're always under NDA, never for public release. One of the rarest finds: a 1991 Bed-Stuy acetate, a teenage Biggie freestyling at a house party. No label, no chains, just bars about stolen radios and Brooklyn rooftops. The disc was so fragile engineers used optical scanning, a museum method that retrieves sound without touching the surface. What they captured wasn't just audio, it was origin. Meanwhile, the foundation kept growing. Kids funded by Biggie's dreams were now engineers, producers, teachers, some returning to mentor new students, others helping digitize the very tapes that inspired them. Not everything went smoothly. One associate tried to claim co-writing rights on a recovered junior MAFIA demo. The court case was messy, the evidence fuzzy, and the reel remains sealed to this day. But the estate adapted. Every new file, digitally watermarked, invisible, traceable, undeniable. Biggie's music evolved from crates to code. By 2005, broadband made streaming possible. The estate jumped at the chance, not to flood the market, but to educate, partnering with Microsoft Research. They launched FLO, an interactive timeline of Biggie's evolution. Drag, The Slider, and Here the Years Morph. 1993. Dusty Room, Echo Heavy Vocals. 1995. Tight Studio Takes, Smoother Flows. 1997. High Polish, Cinematic Scale. Clips were short, 30 seconds max, but they hit hard. And they weren't just for fans. They were for classrooms. FLO was used in high schools, workshops, even college seminars. It launched alongside the 10-year anniversary of Life After Death. At a Brooklyn Museum event, Biggie's Lexus stood on display. But this time, it wasn't about nostalgia. It was about education. Scholarship alumni ran demo booths. Teens sampled beats, tweaked EQ, and learned about copyright law. Hip-hop was now part of STEM. Labels noticed. Instead of pushing box sets, they licensed short-form docs and academic archives. The revenue, it built a new community studio in Bed-Stuy. And every July, that same Lexus rolled up for the ribbon cutting. Now symbolic. Now sacred. But with the digital rise came deepfakes. In 2007, a viral clip claimed to feature Biggie dissing modern rappers. AI analysis showed pitch flaws. It was fake, but the damage was done. Views crossed 1 million. Comments flooded in. The estate clapped back hard. If you want the real Biggie, check the archive. That year, they published the Wallace Papers to 300 pages of scanned notebooks, scholarship letters, essays from historians. A living document of Biggie's mind. Voletta's foreword read, "Christopher lived fast. But he planned longer than people think." These pages prove it. When asked what shocked her most, she said that everything was dated. Chris knew historians would need receipts. Then came FLO 2.0. Now in VR, fans could walk through a 3D scan of Biggie's garage. Click on crates, hear audio snippets. Hover over the Lexus and see scholarship outlines. The exhibit toured from Atlanta to Accra. Biggie's legacy wasn't locked away anymore, it was global. So where does that leave us? By the 2010s, almost everything had been digitized. The music was safe. The tapes secured. The notebooks protected. But the estate wasn't asking what to release. They were asking why. There would be no dramatic drop. No surprise album. Only impact. Studio interns raised on Biggie were now mastering his vault. Teens from Brooklyn wrote essays on the same blocks Biggie once walked. His lyrics weren't just being heard. They were being lived. Biggie may have left that driveway in 1997, but his legacy, it's still on the move. Engine humming. Verse flowing. Brooklyn rising in the rearview mirror. So what do you think was Biggie's biggest hidden gem? Was it the music? The mission? Or the mystery still buried in those crates? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button, and subscribe for more legendary hip-hop deep dives.